Hey y'all.
Hello. We back at for another unscripted, beautiful life.
You the theme song apparently.
No, it just
Hey y'all.
the funny thing is, man, everybody got the same thing when they come in, but ours be different every time. That's what keep it different.
Oh my
that's
goodness.
what
Oh my
that's
goodness.
what keeps us going, and that's what makes this such a great I mean, do we call this a podcast? Do we call this a what do we call it?
It's Unscripted Beautiful
That's
Life. I
it.
don't
That's
know.
it. So
Hey
that's why.
y'all. Hey y'all. Hey y'all. So welcome
So
to
warm.
a Unscripted Beautiful Life. I am Mrs. Beautiful.
And I'm Mr.
Tonight's topic is the power of one. So
Power of One. And it's funny. Would you like to tell them, not tell us, because I think we know.
you by all means you go.
So we were supposed to have a special guest today, and that special guest had to postpone, which we don't mind because it's unscripted, right? So we gotta be able to rock and roll on the fly and still make a great show. So we have been going to church as a family. And that's been helping out tremendously. Think it's been very educational for myself. How about you, babe?
Educational.
Yes, very. Right. Babe, but you see, why I say it's educational is because my feelings that I had about going to church. I mean, that could be a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. But babe, we had this conversation. Don't look at me like we never had this conversation. We had this conversation on why I felt like this, and it was when things are forced on you, and then you become an adult. It's like I was forced to do this as a child. Now I have a decision, and I'm glad that I've switched my decision to start going because it's been very educational. I say educational because it changed my perspective of church. Um, and it's definitely helping us as an overall family. Nick doesn't like to go to the children's church, but we about to start forcing him because he does what I used to do as a kid, and this is why you say he's a Henderson.
So if you didn't want to be forced, why you gonna make force him to go to children's church?
Because he goes to sleep in the adult church, and so he's missing the word. But so the thing is that me and Nick has sat down and talked about this because I say, Nick, you said you're bored in the adult church. You never said that once when you came out of children's church. So I said, why you don't want to go in there? And he told me, he said he don't want to go in there by himself. So, but that's another topic too, another day. But we went to church Sunday, this past Sunday, and the word was one. So Trina says, "What's our topic for today? We don't have our special guest." And when I was sitting in church that day, I already knew that this was our topic. I just didn't know when it was going to come up because we already had said we was going to have a guest today. But when she said that she had to postpone, I was like, "Well, today's the day. Today's the day." Um, but it was. I've been. How many times have we been now? Babe? Not trying to count, but I was used to hearing one pastor, and we got a totally different pastor this
Yeah, so
time.
we're at a new church.
When oh, oh, are you because everybody think we was at the Soul Factory? Sorry, y'all.
we we at a new place.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, we are experiencing a new place. We're experiencing a new place.
Can we rewind?
For what, babe? It's unscripted.
Go ahead, power one.
Go ahead. I'm rambling.
So you said that was the topic.
I,
Go ahead.
you want to start over, so we can start over. Can't cancel this part, but we can come back on and pretend. Can't you delete it? But uh the power of the word one means a lot. It for me when because it's you could take it at different perspectives on the sermon that we heard that day, but it was such a good sermon, a good um prayer. I mean, you name it. It was great for me because it started us talking about how we are one, how we are trying to become one as a family, as a couple, and then I took it even another way how we can become one with God as well, and it was very enlightening because as men we hang out with each other. We go to we go to bars with each other. We go to football games. We go to these things, but a lot of us don't have those tough, difficult conversations that we would need to help out one another. And that was another thing was just helping one another, helping each other try to become one. And I just it was just resonating through me on like this podcast or our unscripted beautiful life, how trying to become one with each other and become one with God, and it's also helping others do that same thing. You feel like that?
I do. I think uh, at least the message that I got was kind of, hey, beautiful. Um, that being one, right, when you're entering into any relationship, right, it always starts with God first. Like that's the number one relationship that you start with. And so our journey is about being connected with Him, becoming one with Him. And then as we go on our journey, we then build relationships with others, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we have friends, we have family, and,
Co-workers,
co-workers, any kind of
kids.
relationship. You always are kind of looking for or trying to find common ground,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't, but it's being able to have, you've got those friendships. I'll say the core
Mm-hmm.
of where you want those type of relationships where you can pour into them, they can pour into you, they can pull your collar if you need to get your collar pulled and say, hey, you're not going in the right direction. They can speak truth to you, they
Mm-hmm.
can pray for you, they can do, really like go to war with you. And I've realized as I've gotten older how important that is, those relationships are. Because I think growing up, you kind of like you had friends to have friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
It you
Or
or
associates.
associates.
Yeah.
And so there was no true investment in it. And then as you grow older and you start realizing, like, I don't have time for the drama. I don't have time for all the fakeness. I don't have time for, somebody that's I'm investing. I'm sewing into you, but there's not a
Right.
reciprocal exchange.
Right.
And so it's understanding like that's okay now. Like
Mm-hmm.
before it was when those situations, it was like, well, why we, why did we fall off? Right. Or,
Or did you even
what
care
happened?
really? Type of thing.
Not even care, but just like you try and like you want the relationship to work because it's a friend and y'all, you grew up together,
Mm-hmm.
all the things, but then realizing that when you got to get down in the trenches and that person can't go to war with you, you like, oh,
Or not even can't even pick that phone up.
but that's
It
what I'm
when you
saying.
yeah.
Like when you really need that friend, right? And that friend isn't around, and you start saying, well, what did I do wrong? Or you start questioning
Relationship.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
relationship.
What
Like
y'all
my
have.
first thought is, well, what did I do wrong? Did I piss her off, or did I piss him off, or like,
Right.
what happened? But I've realized now going through different relationships that while we all have, input into it. And yeah, we might do some things wrong, but it's the core, right? Those true ride or dies that are going to be with you even when
Through the
you're
thick and
at
thin.
fault.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to be like, listen, I don't like the way that you talk to me right now, but I'm going to still love you
Right.
anyway.
Right.
Right? Because
Because
they
I know you at something
understand.
right now.
Right,
Yeah.
they understand. They get to see me like, okay, I'm not at my best right now, but they're
Mm-hmm.
going to love me anyway. Or, that's, and so I'm realizing, so now when a relationship doesn't work, I'm like, oh, well, that season just ended.
That's all you can look at it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And you just, I just see friendships and relationships different before. Like, there was a thing, even growing up, and we still trying to figure this out now, but like family, right? How family is supposed to be a close knit thing, and it should
It should
be,
be. It
but
should
it's
be.
not always that way.
Right.
And I think now I've kind of accepted that, and just, okay, when we get together, I appreciate it, but it
Mm-hmm.
no longer stings as much if we're not as close, because I
Right.
understand, okay, the space is there for a reason, and God tell me what the space is for. Like, what do I need to do? Maybe there's some forgiveness that I need to work. Not maybe, there probably is,
Yeah.
right? Some
For
forgiveness for
everybody, and it's not a
everybody.
one-sided
Right,
thing.
right.
It's always a two-sided thing, right? When as an educator and you going into the education field, right? We always used to say this to the kids. There's three sides to a story: your side, their side, and the truth, right? How many times do we always go into the truth? Because you're always going, we always, I don't care what it is, we're going to leave out certain things, So it's one of those things where you kind of got to meet people where they at, type of thing. So if you're starting to change, because as we were in church, um it was a comment made, it's like, dang, I wish I had friends like that. And my comment back was, it will come. It will come. It's because you don't have to force it. When it's genuine, and you will feel that, you will understand that. And then when y'all are at odds with each other, y'all not really at odds. It's just that
Hmm.
y'all just are at a disagreement at that point, but y'all still gonna be there for each other. You still going, man, hey man, my tire flat, I'm on the way, or I need some gas money. I got you. Any type of circumstance. So we don't have to force our relationships, our friendships, because again, a lot of this only works when you keep God first. It's you gotta keep Him first, and then once you get to that point and you understand it, and it's being intentional and listening and understanding what your purpose is, because everybody has a purpose. You're not just born to just
Right.
walk the earth. Everybody has that purpose, but you have to be close with God. You have to talk to God. He wants us to talk to Him as if we were talking to our spouse, as if we were talking to our best friend, because He is there. He will always be there. When we think, oh, my wife's not hearing me right now, my children aren't hearing me, the kids are being bad, XYZ, it's a lot easier to get over things and get through things when you keep Him first. It helps you with your emotional side of things. It helps you with your mental side, your physical side. It's very enlightening. I share my story all the time because, like I said, Trina knows we had this 10-year, at the 10-year mark, it was rocky. But that's when we started going to marriage retreats and doing different investing into the merge. And it's been so beneficial that I share this with so many people. I have a church that comes to my job, and today the pastor came in because some stuff happened on Sunday, and the pastor came in and he wanted to see what was going on, and he was like, sorry about this, but I went to a marriage retreat, so he wasn't he had another pastor do church on Sunday. And so when he said, man, we just got back on Monday and we came in. And so we just sitting there and we just talking to him, his wife and myself. And I was sharing my story as if I'm sharing my story with y'all right now that, at 10 years, me and Trina had a rocky spot. If we don't do these marriage retreats, I don't know if we sitting here doing this right now. We was at each other's throats at a point. And it's great to be able to be on this side of it and talk about it. It's nothing wrong to be on the other side and be able to talk about it as well, but to be able to be on this side of the fence and start pulling people over that fence to help them as well, man, it feels amazing. Because I feel like this is what our purpose is. Never thought this. Never
I
thought
want to
this.
go
I'm
back to
sorry.
something Miss Bonnie said when you were talking about the relationships piece. And Miss Bonnie, I definitely agree with you, but I think we also have to understand that if those friends or the people that we're in a relationship with don't see it, then you have to step back and ask yourself where you're supposed to be in a relationship with them from the beginning.
From the beginning.
Because
Or at that moment right
at
now.
that moment, I
Yeah.
think we have to, when we encounter those that aren't available to us, right? At that moment, we have to ask them. There's some questions we have to ask. Like, okay, but we can't ask the question, right? We got to go to God and sit with the question.
Yes. Because if you ask that person, it might
not even the person, but just sitting with your mindset. Like,
okay.
I'll give you an example. I could have had a friend fall out, and I'm sitting back in my mind, I'm questioning, well, why not? What did I do wrong? Why, whatever. And you start making assumptions,
Okay.
right? Thinking that, um, I'll put it back up to, she's thinking that it was something wrong, or that person just didn't care for you the same way, or that person didn't have time. But when we sit with God and we can get some clarity, he might start telling us things about the situation. Well, maybe he or she wasn't available because they're going through X, Y, and Z. And because they're not as open or not willing to be vulnerable in the moment, we don't know.
We don't know
what's going on.
Yeah.
And so because of that, right, our mind, our man, our spiritual man, I'll say that, right, our flesh makes the assumption, well, forget him or her.
Yeah.
They don't have time for me. I done poured, they not pouring back, right? But if we can listen with our spiritual ear, and spiritual ear is telling us, well, she's going through this,
Right.
or he's going through that. He's saying, give him some grace.
Right.
Right. Then you come back, when if God is saying, give him some grace, he like, okay, hold on. I'm supposed to still stay, and I'm supposed to now be the support for the person.
Right.
And not worry about how I feel according to my flesh. Right. But there also could be the situation where God's like, well, I never told you to enter into a relationship with that person to begin with.
Right.
Right.
You absolutely
like
right.
Out of the fear of being lonely, right? I'm in a relationship, hypotheticals, right?
Yeah.
And we are so far from, what is the term that you, unequally yoked, that they would say? Like, we're so far from where we like should have been coming together to build and all the other stuff. And so I should have never placed myself in that relationship. But because of fear of being alone, I'm in it anyway. And now I'm boo-hooing. And I'm, having some really hard moments because I put myself in this situation. Right. So I think when we have someone that we're in a relationship with, there's questions that we have to ask ourselves, we have to ask God, and then ultimately ask the person.
Yeah.
Like if that person
in that order,
no, you gotta go to God first.
Right?
You gotta go, you first, because you as
gotta
women, like your instinct, you still have your own instinct, and you're gonna tell you. But if your instinct lines up with him, you're being led by him,
Right.
right? So that conversation, and then you can go to, if he says no, God says no, you have the conversation. Like, if this is my ride or die, I can come to you, be like, listen,
Yeah. To
what's going
anything.
on?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like something's off. Is everything okay? How can I support you? How can I, whatever. And if at that moment that person is willing to be vulnerable enough to share, then I can support.
Right.
But if when in that conversation that person isn't willing to be vulnerable to me, it's like my spidey sense is gonna go off, right? My
Yeah.
God voice is gonna tell me, nah, she's not telling the truth, right?
Right.
So then I know, okay, I gotta show grace right now.
Is there a time frame? Because I only asked that question because in a friendship, let's say friendship right now, right? And you're pouring, and they don't have their lid open to accept what you pouring.
That's what Bonnie just asked too. She said, okay, I agree. Never gave up. I continue to pour into the friendship. I'm not saying that.
No, I'm just asking.
Well, I'm
Is
just
there
saying,
a
no,
time
I,
frame
I
on it?
think there has to be a time limit,
Right.
because that's part of, if I'm looking at the beautiful side of things, and I'm looking at my self-care,
Mm-hmm.
I've got to put boundaries up,
Mm-hmm.
right? I've got to put something into place to say, okay, I can't
I
give.
can't keep pouring
I
because my
can't
glass
keep
almost
pouring
empty.
that
Or
part.
my pitcher almost empty,
But that's
and
where,
you
yes,
letting it hit the floor because you
yep.
didn't open your lid for me.
There, so you got to look at the time frame, like the time limit. You can't put time on God, right? And so if God is saying still pour,
You gotta keep doing it.
you got to
You
pour.
gotta keep doing
But
it.
if God says no,
It's time to
back
pull back.
off,
Yeah, yeah.
because he trying, like, here's a situation. What's
Hey, man.
Deron always taught us um about people pleasing. And I remember one thing, and he
Remember
said,
that? People pleasing.
as women, as moms, right, we can tend to enable our children, right, always wanting to do for them.
Right.
And I always think about that statement as, if I'm always pouring and I'm always showing up for a friend, like getting them out of binds, then that's getting in God's way.
You trying to do God's work.
Right.
Yeah.
So there is going to be a time when God is going to come in and say, listen, I need you to back up out this
Now you gotta pull
situation.
back some.
You need to pull back, because you coming in is interfering
Yeah.
with what I need to do. It's like the conversation we had, I think, when we first started. Y'all, we have been doing this show for a year. We, like, our year passed when we was doing the whole the soccer stuff. So listen, we've been
Damn,
on for a
babe.
year,
Hold
but
on,
like,
time out. Babe, time
this
out,
was a
time out. We got it.
sidebar,
Yes.
commercial
We didn't
break.
start in December.
No, we started in October.
So we went to Georgia last year for
Yeah,
Thanksgiving.
yeah.
And so we took a break then. So
Just for
that's
that. Well,
what made
wait,
me think.
we do our show on Tuesday. We didn't have to take a
Yeah,
break.
so we did. So
Okay,
that's
back.
what kind of made me think
Yeah,
about
yeah.
after
So happy,
after
happy, 1
1
month and
year,
some 1 year, yeah,
one
on Unscripted.
year.
So thank y'all for hanging with us.
Ooh, sparkles.
All right, now
Yeah,
back
back
to the
up. We gotta
program.
go back. Sorry, y'all.
What was I saying though?
People pleasing,
Oh,
what Deron said about being a
okay.
yeah.
So when you gotta understand, like, there is always a time frame. There is a right period. There is always like a stop button. You know, the little Staples button,
Yeah,
like you push
the easy
the
button.
easy button. There's always a button you gonna have to push, but you gotta you have to allow God to lead you to that time of when it's time to release.
So this the thing, right? Remember what Trina said. God will tell you, but God can't tell you if you're not if you're not in line with Him.
You got to be in alignment with Him.
So, like I asked Trina, is there a time frame, right? God only has that time frame. God has that time frame. We can't put time frames on it.
But
And the only reason why I say it is because when we are as one, right, and we're still pouring, and we haven't heard anything, but we still pouring, and then God give us a sign. God gives us a sign and we ignore it. Anything that comes after that is your fault. It's your fault.
It's our fault, yes, but also because God shows grace, right? He will restore and renew, recharge, do all the things.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing we have to understand is that even though we may put ourselves in relationships and situations that didn't align with his will for us, right? We still have a choice. And he's not going to interfere with that. Like it's our
Mm-mm.
choice,
It
right?
is. It's like God gives us free will.
It's that was the word I was looking for. I couldn't
Yeah.
figure it out. Yeah, so it's the free will part. We just have to pray and hope that even if we ever get out of alignment, right, that we can get still enough, get quiet enough that we can, like we're talking in a beautiful society, how to listen over the noise, that we can quiet all of the things that are vying for our attention, right, away from him, that we can get still enough to hear the voice to get back in
the back in
alignment. Yeah,
in
Miss Leslie, that's what I was looking at, was free will. I couldn't, it was there, but I couldn't say. All right, let me go back to what Tiffany said.
Yeah, because she said that it lasted up to 7 years.
I had a situation where God had me continue to pour into a Judas in my campus circle and told me not to stop loving on them. See, that's the part we have to look at, because if he's telling us to still sow, if he's telling us to still pour, if he's telling us to still give, then he will give us everything
we need,
that we need to be able to withstand. And the thing about God that I'm learning, that Alicia in the 12:12 is teaching us, is like we have to take God off the clock, right? And that, let's say I'm in year 6 of this friendship, and I'm like, I knew I should have been backed off, because the world say, oh, you in 16, why you doing?
Right.
But if God's saying still go,
you gotta keep rocking.
You gotta keep, like Tiffany said, hers lasted 7 years. You gotta do what God tells you to do.
You gotta keep rocking.
That, man. But however, that minute when he say,
when he give you these deuces,
when he say that, you got to roll out and not worry about their response.
Yeah.
Their reaction. How are they going to react?
Because they're gonna make you feel guilty.
They're gonna make you feel guilty
because you pour so much into them, and they need that.
And you got to listen. It's like you gotta put on your armor, right, and be like, listen, God told me I had to roll out.
I'm gonna say something. You got to tell Diddy no.
You know what?
You got to tell him
seriously?
No. But that's in this alignment right here. You gotta say you gotta you sometimes we gotta say no, because like think about this. Everybody that's on here right now, everybody, especially because ladies do this a lot more than guys do. Y'all pour from an empty glass all the time. All the time. Sometimes y'all don't have no more to pour, but y'all still tip that joint upside down and shake it out to try to. And that's not a bad thing. No, that's the nurturing.
The pettiness in me was about to say, well, at least we pour.
No, listen. So, but you was about to take it the wrong way.
No, that's not what I wasn't. I told you what my thought was, but at least we pour. Yeah. Because when I think, like, if we playing he and she game, I think sometimes I don't think this is another topic. Why are we going here?
Because it's unscripted.
Sometimes. In response to your question, yes, we will tend to overpour. But I also at times feel that sometimes men are also emotionally unavailable to us.
Because of if you don't understand, because remember what I always said, right? There's majority men would rather be respected than loved, right? So if we become vulnerable, as a man, we become vulnerable, right? And we spilling out things and we don't get the respond that we expect, we might shut that door again.
I agree. And I think a lot of it has to do with our childhood too.
Yes. Because that plays a very pivotal part.
When you kids are growing up and you got the son that's crying, we're more inclined to tell him, stop crying. Boys ain't supposed to be crying. But the girl, she cried, you're going to coddle her. You're going to make her feel better. Mm-hmm. Well, if my son crying, I'm going to let's figure it out. Why we crying? How can we work through this? Like, what are you feeling?
Yeah,
Wanted listen, babe. I'm telling you, I'm learning so much as working as a substitute. One of the things, especially with the younger kids, like when we do, it's called a morning meeting. So we
mhm.
go and do the whole calendar and like what's today and
With the
what's
kids.
tomorrow and
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
we
that's
go through
sweet.
all
That's
the other
sweet. I
stuff.
love that.
But one of the things I picked up that I love from one of the kindergarten teachers is she goes around and asks each individual child how
How they
they're
feeling,
feeling today.
man?
And I love that
It's great.
because it allows them
A
to
voice.
express themselves. It gives them a voice. It says to you, okay, if you're feeling sad, let's
Let's
talk
talk
about
about
it.
it.
So now I'm doing that. I'm like, well, why do you feel sad today? So when I was the one of the first grade teachers, I was in her classroom, I think 2 or 3 days because she was sick. So
Hmm.
I was asking that question. Well, on this one particular day, all of them kept saying sad. I'm like,
Oh
well, why?
man,
They were sad because she wasn't
the
in
teacher wasn't
class.
there.
They thought she wasn't coming back.
Oh man,
So we
and that's
had to,
first
this is
grade.
first grade.
Oh yeah,
So we
that's could
had
be
to talk
that could be
about it.
messed up for a kid.
Right. So we had to talk about it. So,
Wow.
to make them all feel better, we ended up writing her cards. They created cards for her. But
Man.
it's just to if we could do that with
With one
kids,
another,
I'm not even gonna say with kids. How many times as a woman or even as a man when how you doing today? Oh, I'm good.
and they'll never ask you back.
No, not that. I'm
Oh, you
saying
just saying
I'm
I'm good,
good,
but you really not good.
but I'm tore up and I
Yeah.
don't want to be vulnerable and I don't want to talk about it. And so now I'm to
So,
myself again.
all right. So let's because so strangers ask you this question, right? In passing, and I say strangers because this is not something that somebody that you may want to be vulnerable with, right? Do you in passing, right? A teacher that you just met, like you just start doing this, and then she says, "How you doing?" Is that the time to to really be vulnerable with her at that
I think
moment?
you have to know who it is. Like I think if knowing who the other person is, I think you have to, okay, am I going to be safe? Right? We all look
Right,
for safety and security.
right.
Am I going to be safe if I become vulnerable?
And do
But
you
at
ask
this,
yourself that
you
question as
do
yeah,
ask yourself. But I also think that sometimes God allows people to cross your path to be the
intentionally?
angel that you need in that very moment. Like how many times you've been in a store and
Man,
you've seen someone and you like, can I just hug you right now? That's God telling you right? And think about like you get a hug and
I
it's
did that
like a big
yesterday.
embrace, and you like, oh my God, I so needed that.
I don't know if I think I told you the story, but I did that yesterday, babe. One of we're doing a program and we're working hand in hand with the school, and the guy
Take me,
came
Grace.
over, babe, and I think I did tell you, my man drives from Delaware every day.
Oh yeah, you did say that.
And I got up and I gave him a hug because that's dedication to whether to for me, I look at it as that's dedication to your job and that's dedication to these children because you could have easily took a job anywhere. Like how many states is from here to Delaware?
None.
It's none. No, babe, you lying. So
Babe.
Delaware, like right here. Okay, so we going through
That's
Maryland.
why I
All right, hold
said
on,
when you
hold on.
said Delaware, I said Delaware is not that
It's
far.
it's but that's far enough. It's far enough. It's
It's
far
like
enough.
45 minutes, maybe an hour. It ain't far, babe.
All right. I'm sorry, y'all. If it ain't that far, I still gave my man a hug because in my mind he's in another state.
Oh, God.
But okay, let's do this. Delaware here, right? Maryland still right here. He still got to get here. You pass so
Yeah,
many
you right.
schools and districts
You
and different
right.
things.
But
So I
when you
tell you,
love what you do, listen,
and
we don't
no, it's still a part of the unscripted. That's all I'm gonna say. It's still a part of unscripted, but it's still a part of the one because we still talking and trying to encourage everyone to be one for one with self, and then you got to get connected. You got to get connected and be one with the good man. It's such a great feeling.
And I think even that, I think Tip, you crazy. I think, one of the things we have to understand, like when trying to become one or be in relationship with each other, I think everyone just wants to be seen. Even the ones that don't want to be seen, right? Like I'll get my I'm example. Like I always wanted to stay in the background.
And she knows she can't now.
I can't now, but I'll say even though I wanted to be in the background, I still wanted to be seen.
Yes,
Right? I
yes,
still
yes.
wanted people to say thank you for helping me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I still wanted people to say, I really appreciate what you did for me. Like I still wanted to know that what I was doing mattered and that I made a difference. Like who doesn't love to be affirmed? Who doesn't love to know like, hey, I really appreciated that.
Man, just I tell my kids when somebody says that to me, especially when they're younger than me, I'll say, man, I appreciate you even checking on me. I appreciate you even asking how I was doing today. Because again, how many times have we asked somebody, hey, how you doing today? And I'm good. And they keep it moving and they don't never ask you, how you doing? You know what I'm saying? So I honestly make it, especially when it's a young adult or youth, and they say, hey, Mr. Dre, how you doing today? Man, thank you for asking me. I'm doing pretty well.
I told okay, so I think I shared this with you. There is the little boy in the same first grade class. And every time I see him in the hallway and I say, good morning,
Mm-hmm.
how you doing? He said, I'm good. And you? Like it's the and you for me,
Yes,
right? And
that
it's
jump
just
feels
it feels
amazing.
so good because it's like, oh no, it's a little person.
They still checking on you,
That little person
and
is
that's
asking me.
genuine.
And he don't, I mean, like he'll ask me how I'm doing, and then he don't just run off. He like staying
Right,
and we having a whole
it's
conversation.
genuine.
It's like,
It's
oh,
so
okay,
genuine because he
God.
really cared.
Yeah, it's
He really
that.
cared.
It's even the introverts, as much as we hate to be, in front, be the extrovert, as much as being out front and doing all the things, we're still required. It's right, it's required because
Mm-hmm.
you gotta be an extrovert,
It's,
introvert, right? Everybody still wants to feel loved.
mm-hmm. It's a human
Everybody
trait.
wants to still feel like, okay, I
I'm a
made a
part of
difference.
something.
I'm a part of something. And so it's just, but for it's just about finding the balance. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be in front all day long, right?
Right, right.
I
But
got my moments because I'm like, oh, the back. Like there's a T-shirt I saw when it was like the introvert and the battery running low.
yeah,
Like it's,
you
I
need to
gotta
make it.
remember that. Like I gotta
Yeah,
recharge. Let me go take a walk. Let me go, do something to refill my cup.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I could go on with this the introvert extrovert thing because that's a whole nother topic with it. But it, I wish it was introvert and extrovert was something that was talked about in our times because
I think
I
it
just
was. I
I
just don't think we was paying
I don't
attention.
know, babe, because I never. Let me tell you, and I share this because I've heard this so many times when it comes to children that won't participate or won't engage themselves. They oh, you just being antisocial.
I think that's the misconception. Like,
That's
listen,
not you're not being
introverts are
antisocial,
so misunderstood. It's
and
ridiculous.
that's why I say I wish I kind of. Well, at least I mean I'll speak for myself. I wish I would have understood introverts and extroverts at younger because I swear when you told me about it, it just went in one ear and out the other.
My feelings was hurt.
And don't be because that was
I'm just
immaturity.
playing with
You
you.
know that was
I'm just
immaturity.
playing.
That's all it was. Because like introvert extrovert, I don't even know what that means. So it's like when you don't know what something means, you don't give it much attention. So that just like foo foo.
Listen, I really think we need to. I think we need. Oh, maybe this is the topic for the beautiful encounter. I don't know, or for something else. But like, even so, I knew about the introvert extroverts, and then there's the different type of personality tests, right?
Mm-hmm.
And um
Did I take one of them?
like the anagrams, I think they called. You probably don't know about that. But then I
Shit in my
remember
face, right?
being exposed at the Soul Factory. Jill gave us another personality test where we were looking at I can't think of what's the overarching, but it was like melancholy, sanguine, phleg, and I can't remember the other one. Tiff, if you remember, let me
What's
know.
it called again, babe? I might look it up. I'm sorry.
Melancholy,
No,
sang.
no, no. What was
Oh,
it?
I don't remember
The
what
personality
the
test. That's right.
personality test was called, but to see how like melancholy and sanguine and phleg, like you gotta like just to be able to understand that. And Nikki's probably the temperament. Thank you, Tiff. There was a temperament test that we did to find. It was four of them.
Four different tests.
No, it's one test,
Oh,
but
okay.
there's four different personalities, and um
16 personalities.
that's one other one.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we did all take it because that's how we had to figure out our gifts. Not even that. That was the personality. Then we did a gift test. I remember that.
Dang.
But I digress. But to see how, like, God, yes, God created us, right? And so I'm so thankful that I'm so open minded because of, like, people, you taking our person. Listen, you do what you do. You do what you need to do to understand you. I'm going to do what I need to understand me.
Yeah, why would
It makes
somebody
sense to
knock you
me
about taking a
because
personality
that's the
test?
religious piece of things. But don't we're not going there.
Oh, okay.
So to when I look at me, right, and how I'm created, I've got the relationship with God, but then I still have to understand all of the parts of me. And so the
Mm-hmm.
personality test, the human design that Nikki does, Alicia, and
Hold
the
on.
12-12 and the year cycles and the life cycles.
I'm gonna tell.
No, that's not the right one.
Oh,
Miss Bonnie, I'll find it and send it to you. That's not what I'm talking about. I know which one she's talking about.
okay. All right. Cool. I'm sorry,
But
because I
to
was gonna take
see
this one.
how, like, when you sit down and you look at everything, like here, let me show y'all. I got the book right here, like this, the Human Design book, right? To and the Connect Nikki, yeah, Sangman Flag, Clark. That's the one I was missing, Clark. There's those type of temperaments, and so you start out like knowing one, but then you could be a combination of different things, and so understanding.
It's like the
And
introvert
it
extrovert
was
type of
good to
thing
see,
where you
right.
could be
It
on
was
this
good to
spectrum
see
or
how you flow because, like, for me, I'm more of a melancholy, and so
is
it
that
would give
laid back?
me that's laid
Okay.
back.
All right.
And but then it gives me the the advantages, or not the strengths of me being a melancholy, but it also gave me the weaknesses of being melancholy, how I'm not as always open and bubbly, all of
So
those different things.
it gives you your pros and cons,
It gives you the pros and cons.
which is a great thing because I mean, why would you not want to know something about a little bit more about yourself?
Because religion, that's not in the Bible, you know what I mean, like all of those different things. And I, again, that's not
But
here or there. This is,
I'm,
I need to understand me. So when God starts telling me, hey, Katrina, you're not as open, right, as I need you to be, I understand, the melancholy is kicking in,
right,
right? And
right.
now I need to be,
And so
I
you
think it's more
understand it though.
sanguine. Yeah. And I just have to learn, like, just like how to get out of the introvert extrovert. If I'm leaning into introvert and I'm all cozy, but then God is like, no, 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 but I need you to do a beautiful
Yeah.
encounter
So
as an
yeah,
example,
I need you to sit up a
right?
little bit.
I need to, like, I gotta flow, right? And just understand. But that's when I understand, as an introvert, when I have to flow as the extrovert, that every piece that I need comes but from nobody but God.
Yeah.
That's the only way we're gonna get through it. Even
Mm-hmm.
as extroverts, like when y'all have to slow down and pause and think about it. You know how I'm trying to get you to look at this self-care, the journal we're doing for couples, that part. Trying to get, listen, y'all, I am trying to get him to look at this journal that we're trying to create for couples.
Can my journal have pictures?
And when I sent it to him, he said, babe, that's a lot to read. And I was like, so part of me is like, yes, a lot to read, but I need you to do this. And so part of me I'm being honest. I did get like, man, I got to do it all by myself. So what I did, instead of getting frustrated, I just put to the side.
I'm sorry, babe.
No, no, I'm
I'm
not
sorry.
saying that, because here's why I had to put it to the side, because also knowing the life cycle, the year cycle that you're in, which is a 2, which means slower pace, which means, you know, it's
Am I
like with,
always in the
no, you're
two?
not always in the 2. It's just 2014. In
Okay.
23, you're
I
going
mean,
into
2024.
2025, you're going into a year 3, and that one is dealing with, oh, I just came out of it. It's not freedom.
I'm sorry.
I forgot what 3 is. Tiff, where Rick and Ray going to? Because you and Rick in the same year. But so that's
Yay,
where,
Rick. Let's celebrate, baby. Where you at, Rick?
so I had to understand when it came to the journal that at this moment I can't get frustrated because you don't want to move forward. I just have to pause and wait until God lights the fire under you and say, now's the time. So we have all 4, but they can't be. It can't. It's not wordy, Tiff. It's not. It's not. It's not wordy at all. It's one brief. And I can't give it away. Y'all
Don't
just
give it
gotta
away.
wait.
Don't give it away. Don't give
It's
it away. Don't
not.
give it away.
It's
Don't give it
not
away. We
like.
gonna have this. We gonna have
It's
this.
not like my devotional. It's not like that at all. It is a mix of um reflective questions that you have to do as a couple, but it's also activities to do as a couple. Like there's a fun component to it. So it ain't just, nah, it ain't, it's not what you think it is. So when he says it's a lot to read, it's really not.
All right.
It's really not. It's like 3 pages
I'm
with
going
the
to break
stuff.
the cycle, and
I'm
we're
listen,
gonna
when
break the
God
cycle a
says,
little bit.
when God said he gotta hurry up and get us to 3.
And she's
Listen,
yelling at me
no,
because it's
she's
in all
not yelling
caps.
at you. She's yelling, that's for Rick. You
Oh,
taking it personal.
no. Ben, listen, look, I'm not taking nothing personal when it comes to Tiff and Rick at all. At
No,
never.
that's not. She's not yelling at you. She's yelling at for Rick.
No, don't yell at Rick neither. Don't yell at Rick neither.
But
But we got it. We got it. We got it.
that's where I'm saying, if I didn't know the personality
Right. Then
parts of
we'd have
you,
been at odds
we
again.
would have been at odds again, because then I would have taken it personal. Well, I'm trying to do something and he don't want to do this for me, and da he do for everybody else. But when I'm asking, I could have been petty, but I didn't, because I understand you're in it too. And when it's God says now is the time to go, he will light the fire and it
And
will be go time.
and so you still gonna be ready?
I'm gonna be ready.
All right.
It's waiting. It's wait. I did my part. Well, I did the first part.
What you gotta do tomorrow?
Don't he try?
No, we can't do it tomorrow, baby.
Where you go?
We gotta go
Listen,
to a game.
y'all. Listen.
Oh, we gotta share.
We
gotta
did
share.
share. We did share. But listen. So he's saying that the other thing about our unscripted beautiful life that I think we're trying to figure out is, so now our middle daughter is playing basketball and her games are on Monday and Wednesdays.
And practice every day.
Practice is every day. So we're trying to figure out, who gonna get her today? How we gonna pick her up? How, like today we had to ask our oldest to pick her up because it was like, okay, we got to do the show. Like we've been off for weeks.
Mm-hmm. She actually picked them up. Picked her up.
She got her last
too.
Right, but so that's the thing about, as you're creating your beautiful life as a couple, partnership, whatever you call your relationship, figuring out when you have to pull on others for support, because we can't figure it all out. Like the prayers that we pray, right? Like, I wish she would be more open. I wish she would be more confident. I wish the prayers are being answered because she coming to us on a Sunday night talking about, I'm gonna try for the basketball team, and then she makes it.
Practice was on Monday, and I'm trying on the basketball team.
So it's like when you see that God is moving in your life, you have to pivot and adjust the way that He tells you to. But you can't do that unless you focus on the power of one with Him.
Mm-hmm.
So if you saying what's my life cycle, when you say what's my number, so I'm a 3. The communicate, no,
Oh.
my life cycle 3. So communication, and my life path is Six. Dealing with finding balance.
Ooh, sorry,
What
y'all.
was three? I was in three. Last year was freedom. The year before, happiness is four. What was three? I forgot.
No.
I don't know.
No.
Shift time, but y'all need to because it's whatever day y'all are on. Oh, I think we okay, Tiff, for
Yeah.
Tuesdays. I think this still is a safe day. But when Nicholas see, and then here go the other thing.
Nicholas starts soon too. He gonna
Nicholas
start in
basketball
December.
will start up too. But I think his games will be Saturday. We just don't know the days of practice.
Probably gonna be Tuesday, Friday.
Okay, so we'll have to ask Mr. Carter for Tuesday.
Yeah, yeah. So I think we'll be good
Oh yeah, I'm
with
a year
with
cycle.
Nicholas.
Yes, no, year cycle 6.
But she had her first game yesterday, y'all, and they won. She played well, and me being daddy,
Oh Lord, here
me
go.
being
Here's
coach.
topic switch number 55.
No, no, because it's still as
It's
this still part of one, babe.
okay.
Because you you've I didn't take it personal
Uh-oh.
at all. I didn't, babe. I want you to hear me with this one because you made a great point. Because I say this as me being a coach.
Okay, hold on. Let me give him some background. So, this is she's playing basketball. He's not coaching. He's on the sideline. So he is now having to be a true dad, right? We're in the stands. I mean, when I say like she got family support, like she got family support here.
It's like 7 people there.
It's no, it was
Eight
more
people.
than
It's
that.
like 9.
It was
It
a
might have
lot
been
of
10
us.
people
It
there.
was a
But
lot of us.
yeah.
So he's up on the top row, and he's like, let me move up to the top because I know I'm gonna be yelling, da da da. So he
No, no, no. I'm gonna
yelling.
tell you the truth. I said if she score a basket, I might run on the court.
Yes,
Let me
he
go to
did
the
say
top.
that. He did
Let
say
me
that.
go to the
So
top.
he said, okay. So he's at the top. So yes, year 3 is happiness. That's what you're going into. Thanks, Tim.
So I've been in year 3 my whole life.
You pretty have. But
Sorry.
okay.
But no, I
So
understand. I'm sorry.
he's at the top. I'm like on the second row, whatever, and she's in the game. And all of a sudden, I can hear him at the top. Ari, do this. Ari, do that. I let it go, kinda, right? But then there was another time they're at the at their basket, and he said something to her, and she turned her head, and she missed the ball coming to her. So I said to him, "You got to stop talking to her because now she heard you, right? She heard daddy. She caught your attention, and so now she got distracted from and wasn't focusing on what she needed to do. So that's a conversation that we also have to have with her. Like no matter who's yelling from the sideline, who's yelling at you, you have to focus on the court and not worry about it. But go ahead now. You
So
Terms
I
you was
was
about
I
to be in your feelings.
no, 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 babe. I told you I'm done with the feelings thing. Like that ain't gone.
Your
So
look said though.
no, no. So that's what I was saying when you said it, it made me think because I'm a parent and not coaching my daughter.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
And I'm a coach coaching my son. And I get upset when parents are screaming in practice. Because in the game they're gonna do it, but in practice, when we're in practice and I'm practicing and the parent is screaming over there, I understand now because I'm a parent doing the same exact thing that I don't want my parents to do. So when Trina
Oh,
said it
that's a
to
full
me,
circle moment.
just I was trying to say it, but you came in and you know,
I
but
had to get a context like
but
you did. I pulled a you.
yeah, so it made me think like, dang, stepping on the coach's, I'm stepping on the coach's shoes. I'm stepping on his feet, her feet, because I'm not allowing them to coach her in the game and the aspect of it. So now I see why they don't want parents in practice because your child is going to pay more attention to you than they are the coach just because it's a natural thing. And so Ariana is still coming out her flowers. She's still blooming. She hasn't fully blossomed yet. She's still making that way. And I feel as though every time that uh do y'all remember Dennis the Menace, right? And they was like the flower only blooms at a certain time, and then Dennis come in and the flower went back in.
Okay.
That's how I felt after you said that. That every time that she running up and down the court, her flowers going boom, 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 boom. But every time I yelled and said, Andre, all right, Ari, do this, the pedal shriveled back up. And now I can't allow that. I can't do that anymore. I have to sit back and just allow her to blossom.
So one, give yourself grace because it's not it. That's not. I don't think. I hear what you're saying, but I also want to give yourself the grace because even though you're not physical, like coach on the court, you're still coaching her life.
Right, but I
And
gotta stay away
so
from the basketball.
it's timing. It's
Yeah,
timing.
yes,
So those conversations that you need to have with her about, hey, keep your arms up, box out, do
that it has
be
to be a time for it.
there's a
Yeah,
time and place, everything. So what you do is okay, when the game is over, now you sit back and let's talk about it. How you think you did, what could you do
right.
better? Those type of, and then you create the coach dad moments instead of the dad coach moment, if that
And
makes sense.
it makes a ton of sense, babe, because again, I'm putting my own
Tiffany
foot.
said Cam would tune her out.
But Nick does too. Nick does too.
This and that's you said that last night, and I think that's the thing of seeing how all of your kids
Everybody
are
are different.
different
Everybody
because he's
different.
right. Nicholas will tune him out and will not hear a thing he
And I'm
says
and
as
I'm the
coach.
coach. I'm the
But
coach.
Ariana will hear it. But I also think that comes with the territory too. Nick has been playing sports
For a
for a
long
long
time.
time. Ariana had a break.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she has to get it's like she got to tune her muscles out
Yeah.
to be
To
to
block
tune
that
you
out.
out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
as moms, you can tune out everything. The kids cutting up in the background, you can still do what you're gonna do. Like she has to learn how to do that.
You ain't tuned me out when I was turning on that water to cook. It's like, nah.
Oh my
I just-
gosh.
I got you. That's why it's great. That's why it's great. That's why it's great.
um
But y'all, it was just for those that know Ariana, man, it was a beautiful, most beautifulest thing just to see her. And she got a rebound. And she took a shot. Like she wasn't shy at all, man. And it was such a great feeling just to see her running up and down the court, arms out, and she says she enjoys it.
I think that's the beautiful piece of it is that like I said earlier, we're seeing the prayers being answered
Yes.
and just knowing like, she gonna be all right.
Yeah.
Right? The times we would have questioned, like, is she gonna get to middle school and she gonna get bullied because she's quiet? And you start seeing, oh, cause she wants to do this and she wants to do that. And like God is like, I got her.
Man, and I'm gonna go back to this because this is where if we get her in the CMIT South, does she join the basketball team? If she does join the basketball team, does she make the basketball team? Does that kill her confidence? We try to get her into Ernest Just. I'm so glad that I did not get her into Ernest Just.
You can't say the school names on the thing.
I'm sorry, and it's not. I'm not knocking nobody. It's just because this is how it's supposed. It was
She's
supposed.
where she's supposed to
She's
be.
where she's supposed to be,
Yeah.
and all I could do is continue thanking God, man, because I felt as though I was dropping the ball when it came to certain things, but now I look at it full circle. I'm like, I'm kind of glad that I did, because would I have put her in the best position?
That's where I think as parents, we have to stop looking at
What we think is best for us, for
what we
them.
think is best for them because we think it would have been best for us and not look at what is best for the child.
Yeah, because she went to orientation. She went to her orientation. She came back and was like, I don't want to go anywhere else.
Yeah.
I want
Thanks, Tiff.
I want to be here.
Yep.
Yes, thank you, y'all. Listen. I struggle with it all the time, and Trina know this, man. I'm like, dang,
But
am I too hard on them? Am I rough on them? Am I losing my babies?
But I
Uh,
think this it goes back to just the power of one, of being connected, and hearing the reminders or hearing the God winks. Like we got God winks last night of saying she was right where she needed to be, and being
mhm.
grateful and thankful for that. Like, um,
I'm gonna end it off with just this one. She came to us because they can ride the bus home. She came to us like, I'm gonna ride the bus back to school. Can y'all pick me up from school? And I trying to say, well, you gotta make this decision. I'm like, dang. So I know how it was for us
so
coming back from football games, right? Back on the bus. It's a great feeling after a win to be with your team.
and that's why I said it was because Kayla said it. She said, "Mama, you gotta let her celebrate her first win with her team."
And that's what I didn't hear Kayla say that, but I was like, babe, she gotta live this moment because we won't get she may not get that moment
That
again.
right.
Even just like them wanting to go back and ride the school bus. I've been taking them to school after COVID the last 3 years, and you've been picking them up. And so they haven't even rolled the school bus. And they hit us with this. Hey daddy, we want to ride the school bus again. That's our kids being able to have conversations with us, to vocalize what they feel. And like I swear sometimes I'll be like, dang, they don't even talk to us. But then I have to look at those things and take heed to that they do communicate with us. Because they could have not said nothing.
Hmm.
And we still taking them to school and they mad and all this. So let your children have a voice. Like when Trina said it a long time ago with Kayla, I said, as long as it stay respectful, let's talk about it. We it gotta get it may get a little off here and there, but then let's reel it back in to where our conversation has to be respectful. I respect what you got to say, respect what I gotta say. Respect my opinion, what I feel as though is wrong, and I'll respect what you think is right. So let these babies have that voice, man, because it's such a great feeling when they can vocalize themselves and they can give those their feelings on how they feel about certain things.
But the thing we have to remember, sorry, the thing we have to remember is to set the example. I cannot tell my children to have a voice if I won't use my own.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
being using my own means being in alignment with the power of one,
Yep.
being in alignment with him, and following his lead, and following, then connected to my husband, and then the children, like all of those different things. It's
And
understanding
everything
that,
will
like,
work out.
it all will work
It
out.
won't it like you said, it's still always gonna be some ugly in it. But in that ugly, it's always some beautiful
It's
too.
always
Yeah.
beautiful. It's just changing perspective.
That's it.
Saying
That's it.
even in this, there is still beautiful.
Yep. Yep. So
All
this
right,
has been a
y'all.
great one.
This is a good one.
As we always jump around, jump, jump, but it's what it's
Was
supposed
you
to be.
really getting
I was about
ready
to
to
jump
sing this
around. I was about
song?
to jump around, babe. I almost got up and jumped around, but I probably would have knocked the green screen down and all that. So I'm glad I
Listen,
didn't
so
move.
we back. We at least as for right now, our Tuesdays are what it is. So thank y'all for joining us tonight. Next week we do have a special. Well, are going to have a special guest. We'll share more on Tuesday. But thank y'all
Mm,
for joining us on an Unscripted Beautiful Life. We'll talk to you tomorrow,
thank
or not tomorrow,
you.
but you know what I mean.
We
See
can
y'all
rush
next
it and
time.
say rewind, fast forward. Tuesday, we back.